than what we have right now, and one that improves our quality of life, protects and improves our education system, and fixes what we believe is a broken system from top to bottom here in the state. First of all, our number one priority as a caucus is to hold government accountable, and I think you've heard us talking about this the first couple of weeks. We believe that every elected official down here should be held accountable, especially in these hard times, and we want to make sure that the process is transparent and open to the entire public from day one. If we don't do this, the majority party, who is in control of government, as we know, from top to bottom right now, will continue to get away with some of the things that we've had problems with over the past couple of years. Some of the insider deals with the private prison industry, which we believe has led to numerous public safety problems, and irresponsible cuts like eliminating the organ transplant program, and we've all talked about that and will continue to talk about that. We believe that government should be honest and effective, and that we the people should have a right to know about how our money is being spent and what it is the government is doing. So with that in mind, we have handed to you, I think you all have a copy, of the roadmap for a strong future. You guys probably remember something similar to this from a couple of years ago, for those of you who were down here a couple of years ago. I don't want to read through this in detail. I'll let you guys read it over. Let me just hit on a couple key points. We have 3 areas that we're really focused on. First and foremost, jobs and the economy. I think everybody in this state knows the critical budget situation we're in, and more importantly, the economic and lack of job creation we're facing here in the state. And I want to just touch on a couple things that happened just last week that we believe are ill-advised. The access waiver, as we talked about last week, not only is that bad for healthcare, it is bad for the economy, it is bad for jobs. We hear the majority party talking about the need to create jobs time and time again, and yet this waiver, if it were granted and is scaled back to Prop 204, would cost the state, according to studies out there, about 42,000 jobs right off the bat, and over 20 years, it would cost the state over 800,000 jobs. That cannot happen in the state. It would be economic Armageddon for the state, to say the least. If you flip over to the second page, our next policy priority is education, and we've talked about this for the last 2 years. I think it's somewhat blue in the face. We're going to keep talking about it. You cannot talk about the importance of education and then make the biggest cuts to the education system the state has ever seen. We saw that for the past 2 years. We're seeing again in the executive proposal that was released last week. The cuts to higher education are not sustainable, and they will result in a massive increase in tuition that the middle-class families cannot afford. And I highly recommend you all read the article in the Arizona Republic this morning about the disappearing middle class in Arizona. This budget will only contribute to the extinction of that class. And then finally, and certainly not the least important of these 3 priorities, though, is public safety. And we all saw the impact of handing over the prison industry to private companies over the summer. We've heard about the prison breaks, both in public and private facilities over the past few months. And we've seen time and time again that there is a lack of oversight and a lack of accountability within our public safety system here in the state. So that is a priority for us, and we will talk some more about that as we move forward. And then to wrap this up before I hand it over to Representative Farley, the bottom line is House Democrats going to fight to hold Republicans accountable in everything they do down here at the Capitol. We may be the minority party, but we are the watchdog for the people of this state, and that's how we see our role. We need to take a balanced and strong approach to preserving our communities, preserving our freedom, and making sure our quality of life for future generations is improving. And so in the following weeks, you're going to see us not just talk about these principles, but actually introduce and talk about bills that accomplish these principles. So with that, can we hold questions till the end, Dennis? Is that all right? I'll come back. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going to run out of the room.
I'm bringing Howie now.
Okay. That said, I might be running out of the room now. So I'm going to hand this over to Representative Farley. I'm not going anywhere. We'll take questions afterwards. Thank you. Here's Steve.
Thank you, Chad. Thank you guys for being here. I really appreciate your coming, and I hope we can start off your Monday with a little fun and entertainment every week. I am Steve Farley. I'm the Assistant House Minority Leader, and I have to say that I'm very proud to be representing what I think is an exceptionally strong and talented and experienced caucus this year. I think they will have a lot of experience and a lot of people we have that you'll want to talk to about specific issues, and we're going to be highlighting a lot of them throughout the session, so it isn't just Chad and me coming up and talking, and it'll be a lot of people who will be talking about specific issues that are of interest to them and you. I'd like to now go over some of the things that Governor Brewer's four cornerstones but no structure plan actually does to continue Arizona's broken system. Her budget, number one, increases property taxes on homeowners. Arizonans will see a $62 million increase overall in property taxes, right in the time when very few people in Arizona can afford that. She eliminates even more Arizonans from health care, as we saw last week. Even though Arizonans have repeatedly passed voter-approved measures to expand and adequately fund health care, Brewer's budget proposal eliminates health care coverage for more than 280,000 individuals, including 5,200 of the seriously mentally ill, who will also lose their housing. This last move is particularly shocking to me personally, given the horror that one man who appears to be a seriously mentally ill but untreated individual wreaked upon our community on January 8th. The cuts also disqualify Arizona from receiving $1.1 billion in federal dollars in fiscal year 12 and another $1.9 billion in fiscal year 13 that Arizona taxpayers send to Washington, D.C., and then will go to different states instead of ours. In a study commissioned by business leaders, a similar proposal would have resulted in 42,000 jobs lost in the healthcare sector, which is the only part of our economy that's actually added jobs during this recession. This budget also does not restore life-saving transplants. Nearly 100 Arizonans' lives are at stake because they were kicked off of healthcare and have no access to transplants. Brewer's budget priorities are for funding for state building repair, while the $1.2 million, just $1.2 million, needed for transplants goes unfunded. The budget also cuts about $250 million from higher ed. Since 2009, Brewer has made the largest cuts to education in state history, failing to solve the deficit and boost Arizona's economy. Her newest cuts to universities and community colleges, 20% cut to their overall budget, disable the infrastructure needed to economically rebound and to create incubators for economic sectors that will enable our state to weather future economic downturns through the creation of high-paying jobs. I am also concerned that these cuts to our universities may endanger Southern Arizona's only remaining trauma center at UMC, which has also been in the news recently. The budget also borrows on the backs of our kids. Brewer's budget requires the K-12 education system to weather additional cuts of $170 million and will force school districts to loan the state an unprecedented fourth rollover payment, totaling the state's debt to school districts at over $1.2 billion. School districts are forced to borrow funds from the bank and incur the cost of interest to pay their bills while waiting for the state's late payments. Teachers will receive a $5.1 million pay cut. This budget makes Governor Brewer's wrong priorities clear. As you can see by the handout that you've been passed out, she chose to cut more than $1.2 billion from essential services, schools, healthcare, cities, towns, and counties, but she also chose to hand out revenue to a building slush fund and tax breaks for special interests. Arizona has the opportunity to fix a broken system, get our economy moving again, protect essential services for the middle class, and create a world-class education system. We the people must stand up for what's right, for common sense, for accountability, and transparency, for an honest and effective government. Thank you very much, and now we'll take some questions.